Welcome to Gutter Trash, episode 367, Pencilhead by Ted McKeever. My name is Eric.
And I'm Jason.
Hello, Jason.
What's up, man?
Not a whole lot of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some Taco Bell in my belly.
Yeah, so you're gassier than normal.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable and weird. I do feel a little strange, like, it feels like there's this, filmy substance unraveling itself inside my chest and just creeping through my body. It could be the mixture of sour cream and fire sauce.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no fan of sour cream at all, so,
Well, it's probably not real sour cream.
Most likely, but real or fake, I'm not a fan.
Right. I like sour cream.
Yeah.
A little goes a long way, but I like it.
Yeah. Well, the other day I had Wendy's for the first time in months, and felt like it was ripping me apart from the inside.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So,
That's not good.
Fast food, it's not good for you.
Turns out. Huh. Well, we learned something today. But it's kind of tasty.
It is sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Or you think it's going to be because they advertise it so well. You're like, oh, yeah, it's tasty. Like, they do a great job of advertising it as tasty.
Yeah, they do.
Because even if you eat it consistently and, obviously know it's not tasty, you go back because the advertising looks so tasty.
Right.
Like, well, surely this time it'll look like and taste like they describe.
And sometimes it is.
Rarely,
yeah.
Actually, I had 3 items from the Taco Bell tonight. The first one I ate was pretty good.
Okay.
The second one I ate was, disappointing, and the third one I ate was disgusting.
So, diminishing returns.
Yes.
Should have stopped at 1.
I know. I should have got 2 of the same first item.
Yeah.
And just only had that.
Yeah.
That would have been good. Next time. Next year.
Well, that's kind of the thing with Taco Bell is that it's so cheap that you always feel like you want to get a variety of what they have.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually started...
Even though everything is all the same ingredients.
It's all the same. Yeah. It's all I'll take the thing that has the burrito with the beans and the rice in it. And then I'll take also the rice that has beans around it inside of a burrito. Those 2 things are great together. But I almost got 2 of the cheesy bean and rice burrito. Mm-hmm. Which I should have, because that was the tasty thing.
Sure.
But I ended
also
up...
the cheapest one.
And the cheapest one, yeah. Ironically. The more expensive it gets there, the worse it tastes.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because the expensive items don't sell as fast, so they linger, maybe? It's all the same ingredients. Yeah.
It's all the same ingredients, and they generally don't... They're not a McDonald's situation where they're just throwing burgers under a red lamp.
Right, yeah.
They usually do make them to order.
It's true. Who knows?
Yeah. We never will.
No, it's one of those mysteries.
Yes.
It's like the Aurora Borealis and magnets. Nobody knows how any of that shit works.
I love a good ICP joke.
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Are they still around? Are they?
I guess. I mean, they have that festival thing every year, right? The gathering of the Juggalos.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't know they had a festival.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
They are legion. People like to get together and drink beers and have barbecues.
Sure.
Why not do it while listening to ICP, I guess.
I guess. I don't think, even if I were an ICP fan, that I could ever get into that
right.
headspace.
Even if you were. I saw your Hatchet Man tramp stamp when you fell asleep at my house the other night.
I try to hide it.
So if I picked the ICP Chaos Comics as a review for the show, would that get a veto?
No.
I've never read one, so...
Neither have I. It may be the first comic that neither of us read.
We just both, sit here and stare at each other for the review, waiting for the other one to review it. Oh, man. Well, at least we'd have a great single compact discs to listen to because each one was bagged with a disc.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Do you still have any at Mavericks?
No, you're not going to believe this. They sell very well. If we ever find one, like in a collection.
Oh, but I do believe it.
We put them out for like $8 and they are gone in days.
I 1000% believe that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're legion.
Yep.
They have a barbecue. We went over this.
They keep Faygo in business.
Yeah. Somebody has to. They might as well be a clown with a drug problem.
Yep. And secretly Christian.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Man.
Yeah.
Pencilhead.
Pencilhead.
So yeah.
So I almost vetoed this simply because
You had recently read it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I did not know when I picked it.
You know, even though, again, I'm fairly certain that I talked about it at length with you on the show.
I don't remember anything.
That's fine. Yeah. But so rather than waste a veto, I reread this, and spoiler, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See, I was actually expecting you to say you did not enjoy this.
Really?
Partially because of the vibe I got when you were saying you didn't want to, you were trying to like get me to pick something else, sort of.
Right.
Partially because of that, but partially just because of some of the elements of the book.
Mm-hmm. Such as?
Well, I know some things that you don't like in comics. One of them is when they refer to it being a comic, like, because a couple times in this book he says something about it happened a couple pages ago, or the writer of this book, and like, you know, I know I've heard you in the past say like you're not a fan of that sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess, you know, every case has an exception.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgive Ted McKeever for a lot.
Sure.
But also, it's a book, I think, that from the jump, like, lets you know that it's going to be self-referential.
The very first page is him drawing this comic.
Yeah. So, you know, it's
at least it doesn't blindside you.
right. Yeah. So it's essentially the premise. So I'm okay with it in that situation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me as much. Like, I don't love it when books do that, but it doesn't really bother me.
Like, it bothers me if it's like, if it was just a normal story, you know, that was telling its narrative, and then there's a panel where he's, like, looking at you and, like, speaking directly to you, you know, that's when it bothers me.
See, I don't mind that at all. Like, the breaking the fourth wall thing, like, talking to the...
Yeah.
I didn't, like, Parker Lewis style. It doesn't bother me. I don't.
It doesn't bother me when Parker Lewis does it, because that is also still the premise of it.
Plus, that guy just can't lose.
Well, sure.
Yeah. But this book does weird stuff like that, where it talks to the reader and references that it is a comic book.
Yeah.
It refers to lots of other comics and lots of comic creators.
Well, it's a comic about a comic. A comic book creator.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I liked this.
Yes. I had a point I was going to make, and it's just gone now.
Oh. About things you don't like in...
No, it was about Tim McKeever. You said something about that weird things happen. It's a Ted McKeever comic.
Yep. Weird things do happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a given.
Yeah. And I love him for that.
Uh-huh.
He like, I seriously have been reading his comics for the majority of my life.
Right.
I'm 40 years old, and I was at least 13, because I remember in my 9th grade English class, my English teacher told us that, you know, we were actually doing well. Our class was doing well, and we were not, you know, urinating or setting things on fire or like fornicating openly.
Right.
So on that Friday of that week, we were allowed to bring in anything we wanted to read and read it for the entire class and we didn't have to do any work as long as we brought something in to read of our choice.
Right.
So I brought in all 5 issues of Plastic Forks by Ted McKeever, and I sat there and I read them, and I remember she came over and she's like, "What are you reading? Are these comics?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And then, like, I showed them to her, and I was like, "But it's, it's not a superhero book. It's like, it's about, like, vivisection and, like, animal rights and, like, human morals." And she was like, "That's really interesting." And she, like, seemed, like, pleased.
Yeah.
And, but she was also the coolest teacher because she had us read, like, Kurt Vonnegut books and things like that. But yeah, I remember that might have been the first thing I ever read by him. So I was, like, 13 or something. But I have been a super fan of his work ever since.
I came to his work late. But, like, even as a teenage superhero fan, like, I'd say from your average fan, the gut reaction of seeing Ted McKeever's work is like, that's just kind of weird and gross, and I don't want anything to do with it.
Right, sure. Especially if you see him, like, do Batman or something.
Right.
Like, or Wonder Woman, and you're, like, not expecting that.
Yeah. I mean, like, so I didn't read any of his work until later, but, like, even when I first started just collecting comics and buying comics and reading comics, like, I remember getting, like, catalogs from, like, mail order companies and seeing artwork for, like, Metropole.
Oh, yeah.
And Transit, like, in those, and...
His, like, kind of industrial punk rock kind of sci-fi psychedelia. And, yeah
just,
so strange.
Just weird and inky and
you can, like...
chunky.
So, most comics you can see... His comics you can smell and you can taste.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have, like, a gross, like, crazy, like, I don't know, aura or vibe or, like, funk to them.
Like, especially, like, as a 9 or 10-year-old, like, seeing his artwork for the first time, it made me feel weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I distinctly remember, like, getting a catalog and seeing, like, ads for, like, his books and, like, martial law, and just being so intrigued by both of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
what a great couple of artists. Yeah.
And just, like, feeling, like, weird and icky, like, looking at the artwork for them.
Icky is a good word. Yeah. In the most positive way, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but you look at it and you're like, oh, that's icky.
Right. And then, later in life, obviously I love martial law, and I found, Ted McKeever, and, like, I read, like, some of his Batman stuff that he did, like his,
Legends of the Dark Knight.
Legends of the Dark Knight, and
Nosferatu.
Yeah, and then, like, he would just do, like, weird fill-ins here and there, like where you never expected to see it.
Right.
And I always... Like, again, like your average superhero fan would probably look at it as like, well, this is the worst thing ever, and I looked at it and I was like, this is so weird and intriguing, and I loved it.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Ted McKeever's work and you haven't already Googled it while you're listening, his art reminds me of like a cross between Mike Peters that does Mother Goose and Grimm and like Hieronymus Bosch. Yeah, like that's kind of what I get from it. It's like got all the cartoony, fun craziness and like line work of like a good comic strip, but then it has like this dark insanity and this texture to it too.
Yeah. It's like sometimes also I would say it's like if Mike Mignola like just smashed his brush down on the paper instead of like drawing lines.
Right. Yeah. yeah. Very Mignola-ish. Like, and especially in the 80s when I first saw McKeever do superhero stuff. It's back when Mignola was doing like Cosmic Odyssey or whatever.
Right.
And their stuff was very both like you would stop for a second when you saw it. You're like, that's weird. Like that's the weirdest looking superhero.
It's kind of weird that we've brought up Mignola here because like he's another one like as a kid. Like when I first saw his artwork, I just didn't like it, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was awful.
I thought Mignola was terrible when I first saw him.
Yep.
But I just didn't get it. I mean, like, looking back on it, though, the stuff I saw is probably my least favorite Mignola art.
Sure.
Because it was like Cosmic Odyssey and stuff like
yeah.
that. And like even some of his like classic X-Men covers or Alpha Flight covers or whatever.
Yeah.
You can tell like, you know, he got a job and he was totally stoked to be drawing comics, but it wasn't like he hadn't gotten to do what was appropriate for him to do.
Right.
Like drawing the Alpha Flight, not really a Mignola thing.
Not particularly.
It needs to be darker and gloomier and gothier and, you know, then like that, he found his home.
Right. But, you know, I mean, and also, you know, he was younger and still finding his style.
Yeah.
But it is so, when you're used to John Byrne or Neil Adams.
Yeah, they're a little different.
Yeah. It is off-putting, to say the least. And so, you know, but being now a Ted McKeever fan for sure, you know, even though there's still a ton of his stuff I haven't read.
There's a few things I haven't read by him, because a couple of them just went under my radar, like the year I didn't work at Mavericks. I think one of his series came out. It was either Mondo or Superannuated Man. One of those I haven't read. I don't think I've read either of those.
Yeah.
I think I've read Miniature Jesus and Metaphor, but yeah, a couple of his books from the last 10 years I have not checked out yet.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I absolutely love his stuff.
Yeah, I've been buying. Well, I was buying all of his Image books that were coming out. Metaphor.
They're like magazine size though. A lot of them.
Most of them. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them I was like kind of waiting until a trade came out because I was like, I don't know, I don't want these magazines for some reason.
They're a bit of a pain in the ass to store.
I don't know why though. I have some magazine boxes with magazine comics on them.
Right.
So
you have all sorts of weird shaped comics.
I do, yeah. So I don't know. That's weird. I need to read those other books by him because he's amazing.
Yeah. And you know, I've read, you know, some of his superhero stuff that he does here and there and whatever. And I think at the last weird giant like 50-cent sale that we went to, I found a bunch of his Engine Head book from DC.
Yeah. I've never read Engine Head either.
And I found like a bunch of his Vertigo stuff that he did, like Toxic Gumbo and Junk Culture.
Yeah, he's done some stuff with Lydia Lunch. And Peter Milligan. And,
The Extremist.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
Spoiler. Future pick, maybe. The Extremist is one of my favorites. It's so bizarre and like dirty and weird.
Yeah. It's good Peter Milligan too.
It's good Peter Milligan.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, so this book came out, you know, like at a time when I was regularly just buying everything that he came out with, and I think I mentioned last week, you know, Mavericks has the 3 library editions of Transit, Metropole, and Eddy Current. And at least there once a week when I go in there, like I consider buying them.
Right, yeah.
And I want to. I just, you know, can't afford it, even though I know I can, because I'll fucking go to Ollie's and waste $20 on, you know, 500-page Shazam comics.
It's just not a priority.
Yeah, I don't know. And also, like, there is a small amount of confidence that I have in the Mavericks customer that they will always be there.
Yeah, those books have been there for years. Like, I ordered one of each. Like, I've got the single issues of all that stuff.
Right.
But I ordered one of each because I was like, these just need to be in our store. Somebody's going to want these. But they've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
But
somebody does want them.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yes. I have actually even thought about, like, especially Eddy Current. That's my favorite of those 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about buying that for it before just to have, like, a nice bookshelf version of it.
Yeah.
Because I've got the single issues, but there's something nice about a nice, like, compact book.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to make it a vow within the next couple months I'm going to buy those 3 books.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Because Ted McKeever no longer makes comics.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Is he doing, like, paintings or?
I think so. Yeah. And he doesn't explicitly say so in this book, but it's his last comic that he made. And when I read it initially, like, I was so confounded by the ending of it that, like, I went online to, like, just because, like, I think I read it like a year after it actually came out.
Okay.
Or whatever, and so I went online to just see, like,
What he said about it?
if he said anything about it, what he said about it, and he basically said that, yeah, this is the last thing that he's
man.
working on, and that he's given up comics, and knowing that, and now rereading this, like, that comes through a lot in this story.
Oh, yeah. He's had some frustrations over the years.
Yeah. Dissatisfaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're an artist like him, it's like people either get it and they let you do your thing,
Right.
or they do something and it kind of fucks up your flow, because he's got such a unique perspective and voice that, someone else inking his book ruins it. Someone else editing his book or doing whatever, that's not, when he's not the full voice, unless he's like teamed up with someone who's, like when he worked with Peter Milligan, that really worked well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, sometimes whenever he works with anyone else, it just doesn't come across as an honest Ted McKeever publication.
Right.
So I get that he kind of needs to do the whole thing. And those are usually, 99% of my favorite comics are books by people who did every fucking thing.
Right.
So that doesn't surprise me that I like him as much as I do.
Right. And I mean, for me, like, I've always, well, not always, but, like, I am definitely attracted to when weirdos do mainstream stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
And so, like, I always appreciated, like, seeing him, like, in the later years, like, like doing a weird issue of Spider-Man.
Right. Oh, yeah. Didn't he work with Giffen or something?
He did. I know he did an Ultimate Spider-Man team-up.
Yeah.
With Doctor Strange.
And he did a Tangled Web, too.
He did a Tangled Web, yeah. I don't know. I think
Maybe it wasn't Giffen.
I think maybe he just did that one on his own.
Okay.
I can't remember. But yeah, like I bought those, and
Oh, yeah.
but again, like, I always appreciate more when they are doing their own thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so this comic is sort of depressing.
A little bit.
I mean, it's still
fun. It's pretty
funny,
fun.
and it's weird as shit.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But like, when you read the whole thing, and you know that he's basically retired from comics,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little disheartening.
I mean, a little bit. I never felt like bummed out, really. And it's a bummer that there's no more of his comics on the horizon, but I don't know. You never know. When people say that, you never know.
Yeah,
He might do a book next year. Who
could
knows?
be, hopefully.
But
I would buy it.
me too. But this reminds me a lot of underground comics, like especially 60s and 70s underground comics.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the whole feel of it, like the guy like just raging on the page, but like doing weird cartoony stuff that's like, like non sequitur, or like a story starts building and all of a sudden it just like, he's like, I'm done with that. And
Right, yeah.
like you can tell he's just like he's kind of having fun here. Like it's a little more cartoony than anything he's done in the last decade.
Right.
Like he's done some really like render heavy, more serious, more realistic looking figures in his books in the last 10 years.
Right.
Whereas when he first started out, like Transit, the first issue looks like it's drawn by Keith Giffen.
Right.
And like super cartoony, and he's always been cartoony, but I feel like his style has evolved, or at least mutated over the years to be more realistic based.
I think part of that might be him just saying, well, that's what sells. Maybe.
I don't know. I never get the feeling that he's looking for what sells, but you never know. Maybe he is. But this one is definitely, obviously, way more cartoony than like the last 4 series I've seen him do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it looks awesome. Like I love his cartoony stuff, like this and like Metropole and Eddie Kern and Eclipso and like all that stuff. Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. So this is mostly the story of a fictionalized version of himself.
Yeah.
And his struggles through the comic industry. But then also, it's the story of weird shit that happens and storylines that go nowhere.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And he makes fun of that fact in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's like, hey, just so you know, sometimes the author has storylines that just don't go anywhere. They just kind of end, and just deal with it.
In fact, the very last issue, pretty much says, right on the first page, that he just basically changed his mind with what he was going to do, and he just cranked something out different instead.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, I gotta say, I have no problems with this series, but I do think when I read the first issue, I was excited that it was kind of weird and funny and cartoony, but it also had this storyline with monsters and stuff.
Right.
And they come into play later.
Yeah.
But not really. I mean, not like I was expecting. I thought it was going to be. But see, I mean, this is like saying you don't get what you expect from a Ted McKeever comic is it just warrants a slap in the face because his stuff is so unexpected. But I felt like it was building something that I was hoping would go kind of in a direction I was feeling it was going in. And
I get that for sure. Because he does sort of build up these creatures that kind of show up, and then they basically just kind of go nowhere, and then at the end he just sort of is like, oh yeah, here's these creatures.
Yeah, here they are.
Yeah.
And each of them kind of was like a version of his personality or his inner demons. Two of them were kind of negative, and one of them was his burning desire to do artwork.
Yeah.
And I respected that. One of them was his self-criticism, and one was his, I forget what the other one was, his
creative drive.
Yeah. And then the other one was his lethargy or something. I don't know. But each one was some part of him, and they affected his creative output.
Yeah.
But they didn't end up there was no big resolution with them or anything. It was just oh, here they are.
Yep. You basically just get a Marvel Universe style recap of what they are. And
there's him and his friend who's I think an editor accidentally kill a stripper in the first issue.
Yeah.
And
there's a police investigation.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, where's this going? What's this going to represent? And then in the third issue, the Ted McKeever character, Poodwaddle, just mentioned something. He's like, hey, does it seem like they dropped that investigation? The guy's like, oh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
And they just keep walking, and I think that was the last time you hear anything about it.
Yep.
Which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because he had clearly just decided to move on. Do you get the sense that maybe he was writing this as he was drawing it page by page as he was writing it?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I kind of get that feeling.
He probably had notes for the first issue or two, and then just got bored with it.
Because it does say a 5-issue series on number 1, so he at least knew by the time number 1 came out that it was 5 issues.
Right. But for me with this thing, the best part of it being a nerd and being invested in comic book culture and history is the Poodwaddle character dealing with other comic creators and editors as he is struggling to be himself in the comic book industry.
Shall we say thinly disguised?
Very thinly disguised, yes.
They all look exactly like those people.
Uh-huh.
And their names rhyme with their real names.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's one or two where I didn't know or couldn't figure out. In fact, there was one the entire time that I read it previously. I was like, who is that supposed to be? And then reading this again, I was trying to figure out if there were clues to who he was. And then literally the other day, I was driving in my car, and I wasn't even thinking about this book. And then suddenly it was oh, it was that guy.
Your subconscious has been working on it for a year.
Yeah.
And it figured it out. Which guy was that?
His editor friend that he kills the stripper.
Okay.
Luthius or something. I think that's his name in the book. It's Lou Stathis, who was an editor at DC.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, the biggest one, the most memorable and relatable to this show, is Crank Filler. Is that his name? Crank Filler? Oh, he was great.
Yep. Yeah.
I actually would love to see Ted McKeever come out of retirement and just do a Crank Filler miniseries. A graphic novel.
So maybe that's what he's working on.
Yeah.
I hope it is.
Oh, that'd be great. So Frank Miller is who he was parodying here, obviously, with Crank Filler.
Which leads me to believe
they're not pals?
They're not pals. And that Frank Miller has always been fucking insane.
Yeah, because the Crank Filler stories start like way back into the 80s.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's pretty weird in this book.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I'd imagine, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
The Crank Filler stuff was great.
It was pretty amazing. The one person who I still have not figured out who was supposed to be is during the Crank Filler scene, the female cartoonist that they just meet up with. I have no idea.
I can't remember her name.
Her name in the book is Marconi.
Marconi? Huh.
And I'm trying to think, like, female cartoonists from, like, the late 80s, early 90s. Because that's where I feel like that would have taken place.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't Anno Cinti.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
Either way. I'm sure a lot of things like that are like, just people he included as in jokes or whatever, but the Crank Filler one is just it was
definitely the best.
It was good.
But yeah, like if you know anything about like editors from Marvel and DC, in the past, you'll be able to figure out like who everyone is supposed to be.
And the way he draws editors is amazing. Like, they're all so over-the-top cartoony, like, disgusting, just farting and, slimy, like, pukey, weird, pustule people.
Yep.
It's amazing. He clearly is not a fan of... Well, I think there was one editor that he liked.
There's a couple who were his friends that he respected, and they're drawn normally.
Yeah, right.
But then, like, there's a couple who, basically are just loud and overbearing, and they look like the Baron from Dune.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That guy's gross.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That said, this comic is really ultimately just about nothing.
Yeah, it's just about the way he feels about the comics industry and his work over the past several decades.
Right.
Because he's been working pretty steadily for 30, 35 years, something like that.
Yeah. Until now.
Yep.
The final issue has a couple scenes where he meets Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
Which are pretty...
That is awesome. Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you look at Ted McKeever's art, like, Jack Kirby is not the first thing that comes to mind.
No.
At all.
But if you start thinking about it, it makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Just because of, like, just his blockiness, his weirdness.
Right. And also the fact that, for the most part, he just always tried to do his own thing.
Yeah.
And like, Jack Kirby created most of the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. And when he went to DC, created a huge chunk of the DC Universe that has been used for the last 40-some years.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he didn't just go to DC to, like, work on The Flash or Batman.
Right.
Like, he wanted to do his own thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the spirit of Jack Kirby that people should walk away from with.
Oh, yeah.
And not a lot of people do. But Ted McKeever, for most of his career, has just done his own thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like 2-3 issues of a Batman comic that he did, like, you know, pale in comparison to the rest of his output, which is all mostly creator-owned.
Yeah.
You know.
And so distinct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can never not recognize a Ted McKeever comic.
Right. Unless there was one, like, there was 2 issues of Eclipso that he did, and one of them that was inked by him, and one that was inked by somebody else. And I remember when I first saw it, I was like, that looks like Ted McKeever, but I don't think it is.
So when I read Pencilhead, like, and then, you know, finding out that he basically retired, like, it's, you know, like me on my Jack Kirby and Darwin Cook kicks, like, it's now like, oh, well, I want to get as many books by Ted McKeever as possible. And I've been looking for those Eclipso comics.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I know that I have them on my little wish list thing, but like, I can never remember, like, to actually look for them.
Yeah.
But like,
I see them in dollar boxes a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, they're definitely, like, I definitely want to get them because I cannot imagine what Ted McKeever looks like inked by anybody else.
Oh,
Ted McKeever.
It just, like the lines are just like kind of boring and thin, and it kind of looks like someone was trying to draw like Ted McKeever, but then it wasn't as weird because, like, you know, obviously when the guy was inking like an ear, he'd be like, well, I see the lines that he made that are supposed to represent this ear, but I think it should actually look more like this,
right,
like more straight up and down instead of, you know what I mean? Like it sort of looks like Ted McKeever, but it looks like somebody who likes Ted McKeever that has no reference in front of them trying to draw Ted McKeever art.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. So, like, I actually had both of those issues. I bought them the day they came out, and I got rid of the one that's not inked by him because, like, every time I look at it, I'm like, I just don't really like the way it looks. But the other one, still have it in my boxes. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Great covers, too. Man, he does great covers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just think I remember his Legends of the Dark Knight 2-parter that he did. I think that was called Engines? Or
I forget.
Like, one of them is like Batman and
it's like an
all
white.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Engines, but because there's, like, maybe it is Engines, because Engine Head was the other book, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. I think it is Engines. Huh.
But yeah, like, I distinctly remember those coming out and then just them popping off the shelf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, wow, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So yeah, Pencilhead, it's good.
It's really good. And it's super black and white.
Yep.
Cartoony. Yep. All done by this one dude.
Yep. And holds up on a second read.
Yep.
Yep.
I'll definitely read it again.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I actually kind of want to own a page of original art from this book.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Do you want a crank filler page?
I actually love the first issue is my favorite. I love like even this first page of just him inking or the monster creeping in the window. You know, like
right.
I'd love to buy one of those pages and hang it up on my wall. But yeah, he's great. He's so good. And if you go into reading this book, it's not like it's not like you're reading the comic book history of comics. Like it's in that vibe as far as like it's about the industry and about the working in the industry, but it's not like a linear tell-all depiction of it's not a chronological tell-all.
No,
it's just like
it's about his career,
in
particular, and it's also kind of gossipy.
It's a little gossipy,
yeah.
But he changes the names. I mean, you can't figure out who any of those people are. I mean, who's Dill Train or whatever? Who's that? I have no idea.
Oh, so
I forget who Gil Kane was in this, but it was something like that.
Like Dill Crane or something like that. Yeah. Whose story in this book is that he apparently used to go into the Marvel Comics offices and steal original art.
I know. And whenever I first saw that, I was like, well, good for him. He's like liberating it, and he's probably giving it back to Kirby and Ditko and those guys. But it turns out, no. He was just in there stealing it.
Yep. And apparently, so I know that when I first read this, like, I looked it up, and I did it again, like, on the reread. Apparently, that is a very true story.
Oh, wow, really?
And that he did do that.
Gil Kane did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And, in fact, I was on Twitter the other day, and, Phil Hester, the cartoonist, he buys a lot of original art and shows it off occasionally on his Twitter feed or whatever. And he posted something about finding, like, the perfect Jack Kirby page that he wants to own. But it's like $130,000 to buy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And someone responded, was it a Jack Kirby page or a Gil Kane page?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Which I would not have gotten that joke
had
I not read this. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff like that. If you're into comics enough to know, like, the creators of books, there's a lot of, like, funny, like, weird, creepy, disturbing in jokes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not like the majority of the series. It's just that's peppered throughout.
Yeah.
It's more just about Poodwaddle, which is Ted McKeever, coming to terms with what he thinks about the comic industry and whether he needs to stay in it or not.
Right. And, so why do you think he called himself Poodwaddle when everybody else has, like, just basically a spoonerism of their name?
I don't know. Maybe it's, maybe that was his girlfriend's nickname for him or something. I do regret that, like, a year or maybe 2 years ago, I remember seeing Ted McKeever's name as a guest at the Motor City Con, and I did not go. Like, that was the only reason I was going to go was to meet him, but I was like, I just couldn't, like, get it together to go for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that was, like, the only time I've ever seen him listed at a convention within driving distance for me.
Yeah.
And I kind of regret that I did not meet the man. But if he, does an art exhibit and he is at the opening, I will try to go because I love his artwork and I think he is a unique and fantastic voice in the world of artwork.
I agree, and if that happens and you don't tell me about it, I will be very angry about it with you. Because, I think he's definitely somebody that I would like to at least... I probably wouldn't want to talk to him, but I'd like to meet him just once.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, I imagine he'd just be very angry with me.
Like he'd be angry...
that I'm around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He does seem like he's got some anger or frustration, but it seems like he knows how to deal with it. Like, he deals with it in a way that you can tell he's laughing at himself a little bit,
right.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, there is a very sort of self-deprecating, I mean, not a little, I mean, this whole thing is self-deprecating,
Right.
But, at the same time, it's one of those things that makes me feel slightly okay to know that, I mean, I think he's great. Like, I love his work. But, like, he thinks he's horrible. And, not very good at what he does. But at the same time, he's got that sort of thing that I feel all artists have, which is, I hate what I'm doing. I'm not very good at it, but also, I'm the fucking best. Why aren't people paying more attention to me?
Right. Yeah. Like don't tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Right.
I know I'm doing everything wrong, but don't tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Exactly, yeah. That's why whenever I find an artist who thinks that, they're the best, but, like, never questions it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
But also, like...
Alex Ross.
You mean Dalek's Toss?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a little confidence in yourself
Sure.
to achieve anything as an artist, but at the same time, overconfidence is very off-putting.
Oh, yeah.
But Ted McKeever Doesn't seem to have those off-putting traits.
No.
I hope he just doesn't Salinger himself up on a mountain though, and never put out anything into the public eye anymore.
Yeah, I haven't actually checked his website since my first reading of this, but I know he was talking about like just making art.
That's cool.
Yeah, so hopefully he has done some stuff.
Yeah, as long as he can afford to do that, I'd say go for it, man.
Yeah, more power to him. And at the same time, I hope he makes another comic someday,
or at least an art book.
Yeah,
like that'd be great.
That'd be awesome too. Yeah. Sure, I'll buy an art book. I've done so today.
You'll wait till his art books for $6 at Ollie's.
Yep, sure.
But yeah, but you'll buy it.
Or if Mavericks gets in a damaged copy.
Hey, there we go.
Find out that get it for half price.
Yeah, they want us to destroy it. We always do, Diamond. We always do.
Yep. All right. Take a break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gutter track.
Yo,
we're back. Fucking A, man.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was trying to think of what I've read recently. I just remembered. So yesterday I did something I've never done ever in the history of my being a reader of comics.
You tore up a comic.
No, I've done that.
Oh, okay.
Plenty of times.
Right.
Sometimes on accident, sometimes on purpose.
Sure.
But no, yesterday was different.
Okay. Let me guess.
It's a retro kind of thing. Sort of.
You folded one up and put it in your back pocket.
I've done that this week, but okay. That's not what I'm talking about.
You traced something in a comic.
No. I did post a cover recreation.
Sure,
So you're close.
Sure. Okay.
Man, you're close. But no, this is different.
All right. No, I guess I give up.
I read 2 comic books with chromium covers in a single day. I've never done that before.
So without getting into details, you came into my house today saying that it's like 1994 all over. And so now you tell me that you've read 2 chromium-covered comic books.
Yeah.
It really is 1994 all over.
It is. It's all coming back, baby. The best decade that ever was.
You know, I don't know if I've told you this or mentioned it on the show before, but back when I used to make comics, my friend and I had an idea for a story, and we had decided that you were going to be the main character in it.
I think you may have told me this.
And the title of the book was 1994.
This is very flattering. Did I epitomize that year to you? Or?
Sort of.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it was a time travel story about people, from the future, like traveling back in time, and somebody goes back to 1994 and decide that they want to stay there, and then you get involved as the ultimate representative of 1994.
Oh, still representing. 24 years later and counting. Oh, man. Well, thank you.
No problem. No problem. So, what 2 chromium-covered books did you read?
Okay, well, as you know, I've been very recently, rereading all the Valiant comics from the 90s.
Sure.
So I'm simultaneously reading Shadow Man, Exo Man of War, and Harbinger right now.
Okay.
And I got to the point where I was ready to read, because the issue zeros kind of fell between certain issues, when they were public. They weren't before the entire series.
Because the 90s were fucking weird.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So I got to the point where I was...
At least it was never Spawn weird, where issue 24 came out before issue 19.
God. Oh, yeah. Or they have those issues that were set 20 years into the future.
Yeah.
Remember that? Oh, man. Was that what that was?
Spawn didn't do that, but
a bunch of them did, though. They were
some did.
They're this will be the continuity.
Right,
yeah, sure. But no, I read Shadow Man #0 and Exo #0.
Well, Exo for sure had a chromium cover.
Oh, yeah.
Which I own that issue somewhere.
Yeah.
Autographed by Joe Quesada and
Nice.
Jimmy Palmiotti.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shadow Man 0 does, too. It has a nice chromium cover.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
See, when you said that, my first thought was Exo Man of War.
Okay.
For some reason, that to me it's the one chromium cover that always sticks out in my mind as when you say chromium cover, that's what flashes.
I think of that one and Generation X #1, because that was a great cover.
Yeah, it was a great cover.
I think it's my favorite chromium cover, actually.
But my second cover that I always think of, and the one that I assumed you were talking about because you also are reading the Valiant.
Death Knight?
Well, no, Turok.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, that one's weird, though, because it's 1/3 chromium. It's like it's like an embossed cover with a chromium rectangle glued in the middle of it.
Right. I feel like that was maybe the first attempt at chromium, and then they perfected it with Exo Man of War.
Right. Yeah, that one looks a lot better. But yeah, so I read a half a dozen Valiant books yesterday. Man, those are so good.
That's a lot.
They hold up
for a day.
Yeah. And yeah, I worked and did some drawings and went out to dinner. I did all kinds of stuff yesterday. But I read some good books. I'm really enjoying the Shadow Man Chromium 0. I think was actually more enjoyable than the Exo Chromium 0, because looking back on it, I think Quesada's a pretty great artist, but I can't follow some of his storytelling. There was a couple pages where I had to read 3 or 4 times to even figure out what was happening. It's just weird looking. I think it looks good, but it didn't flow very well. But the Shadow Man #0 was very good. So, but then the other Exo issues I read were very good too. And I can't even tell you who was drawing those issues. I think They had all kinds of people working, like Bear Windsor Smith and Ditko and all these people.
Yeah.
But then they had a lot of like Spanish artists who I was not familiar with. But they're all very good. Very good artists. Solid storytellers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I read.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you? Read anything good? Maybe
No.
not. Okay.
Yeah, have not read anything.
I've been reading some of the all-time comics that Josh Baer does from Fantagraphics.
Okay.
They're like it's like a superhero team, and each issue or each pair has a different hero. Those are better than I expected too. I mean, they're kind of just exaggerated, weird, over the top superhero stories.
Sure.
But they're done like to a higher quality than I expected. Like
Right.
they're fun. I read the Blind Justice ones this week because I didn't buy Blind Justice #1, but then I saw Blind Justice #2 was drawn by No Van Sciver.
Oh, okay.
So I bought that.
The good Van Sciver.
The good Van Sciver. And then so I went back and bought #1 and read both of those. And it was very good. Enjoyed the heck out of it.
Cool.
Yeah. I think that's all I've read this week. Comics. Fucking A, man.
Yep. I haven't read anything. I've fallen behind on my Fourth World readings.
Oh.
I read Pencilhead. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Haven't really drawn much of anything. I did start on a comic that I've been working on.
Sweet.
I got 2 full panels done.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. Running in. I want to draw it digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been running into some issues with both my tablet and the program. Where last Saturday for drawing night, I was going to, work on, the first page, and I couldn't get the program to work right, and wound up having to upgrade and get a free trial of the current version of it.
Yeah.
Which is, for an art program, it's not that expensive. It's like $50. Clip Studio Paint
Okay.
is what I'm using. And I was like, well, they've got a 30-day trial. I can afford $50, later on, then I'll just use the trial version. But then yesterday they announced that they were having a sale and that you could get it for $25. So I went for it.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Clip Paint?
Clip Studio Paint.
Clip Studio Paint. I've
It
never
used
heard
to
of
be
it.
called Manga Studio.
Oh, okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an art program, that is kind of specifically made for drawing comics. Mostly manga. But
We don't read a lot of manga.
we do not.
You know what's funny? Actually, and then I was doing the new previews order today at work, and I almost special ordered a manga, volume 1 of a new manga, just to pick and review for the show, because it looked really interesting. But I didn't order it yet, but I'm still on the fence. I circled it because I have until Thursday to fill out my order, but I mean, I guess we just kind of reviewed a manga like a month ago, but
Like 2 weeks ago. Right?
yeah. It's been more than that.
No.
Because that was my last pick, and this was my pick.
What? Oh, yeah.
So it's got to be at least a month ago.
I guess so.
But by the time it comes out, that'll be 2 months away. So I don't know. Maybe.
Was hoping you were going to just tell me the name of the manga.
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't tell you.
All right.
Like if I wanted to tell you, I couldn't.
Well, then pre-veto.
Yeah. It was like, I think the word death was in the title like 2 or 3 times now. It looked interesting.
Alrighty.
But yeah, I can't remember. It was like super long title. There's this one manga that we special order for one of our customers, and it's called "Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?" That's the name of the manga. So there's some long titles out there.
Sure.
Some of them creepy.
Uh-huh. Yep. I would say that you buried the lead on that particular title.
Well, that guy, that special orders that also reads Zenoscope comics. Say no more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least he doesn't read those Avatar comics that have like just Belladonna and the Lookers and like every time I go through previews, I'm just like the one today, the one that is standing out in my mind. There's this comic called The Lookers, and I've never read this book or even seen it, but
why should you?
I always see the ads.
How could you miss them?
The cover on the one in the new previews was a woman tied down in some old man's like basement on like some sort of like table where he's got his like train set, and the train track is set up to like run right into her vagina, and it's carrying like this giant missile on it, and the cover is like from the train's POV. So it's like,
of course,
it's just like, if it was supposed to be funny, it would be hilarious. But since it's not, it's just kind of sad.
Yeah. So what's super weird is that...
You special read that book?
Well, sure, of course. But also, I did put an Avatar book in my file today.
Oh, nice.
When I stopped in.
Which one? Providence?
Nope.
Huh.
Nope.
Cinema Purgatorio?
Nope. Although you're close with that one. It was a trade that was on this week's shelf.
Uber?
Nope.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Red Rover Charlie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's the Garth Ennis puppy dog thing, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks pretty good. When I think puppy dogs, I think Garth Ennis.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I would read that.
Yeah. Possible future pick.
Yay!
Yeah. I also put in my file the new issue of Batman Metal that came out this week.
Oh, nice. The Wild Hunt.
Wild Hunt, because Grant Morrison apparently co-wrote part of it.
Oh. Yeah.
So I like Grant Morrison. I like when Grant Morrison does a Batman thing.
Yeah.
So why the hell not?
Yeah. Plus it's shiny. It's chromium.
I'm attracted to shiny things.
Yeah.
They've always said you're kind of like a magpie.
Yeah.
I was like, I know. I do actually have a distinct memory in like 1991 or whatever, walking into Mavericks, and issue number 1 of Silver Sable.
Oh, yeah.
Was, like, right up front when you walked into the comic section, and, like, the light hitting it in such a way that it blinded me when I walked in.
That's just what they wanted.
And I bought it.
Yeah. Because you're like, I see her shiny boobs, and they're, like, coming off of the cover. You can touch them. You can feel these boobs.
Yeah, and I was, 13 years old?
Sure.
Sure.
Why not? Can you imagine, though, if, like Wally Wood had done that cover or something?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, right? Or, like, Frank Thorne. I mean, that would have been amazing. Get those guys a chromium cover.
Right.
A puffy chromium cover.
Yeah.
It's got to be embossed, yeah.
Definitely.
Man, good stuff. Silver Sable.
90s gimmicks.
They're the best.
Glad they're back.
Oh my god, today we were bagging up books, and I bagged up at least 2 books that were polybagged, 2 different books. I'm just like, it's all coming back, man.
Yeah.
It's all coming back.
Like recent books?
Oh, well, I think one of them was a variant, like a variant cover, like a fried pie variant, Second and Charles. Okay. So it was bagged for some reason, but it is a new one, yeah.
Was it Sex Criminals? Because some of those are
they still bag them. No, it was Old Man Logan.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah. But it was like, man, it's all creeping back in. There's some shiny. There's like every week there's a new first appearance that's going for $10 on eBay the day it comes out.
Tell me about that.
Like, yeah, seriously, in the last month, I think there's been 4 different Marvel books that have a first appearance that are selling for 4 to 5 times cover price the day it comes out on eBay.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And like from what you described, it's all just like mashups of like
Yeah.
other characters. They're not even real.
It was like Norman Osborn as Carnage, or like Frank Castle as the Ghost Rider.
Right.
Like, I forget. Yeah, like Willie Lumpkin as the Man Thing. I don't know. Just weird stuff. But hey, I'm excited to see comics selling. So hey, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking A, man.
Yeah. So let's see. So as we record, tonight is opening night of Black Panther,
Oh yeah, that's right.
the movie about the superhero, not the
Political movement. Right.
Yeah. Which.
Oh yeah, he's not a political movement. This guy is a corporate shill, because last night I watched TV and I saw some sort of car commercial that was like featuring Black Panther.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, it honestly like kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I'll still see the movie because it looks fun and cool, but I was like, ugh, that's just kind of ugh.
That's all superhero movies.
I know. It's true. I mean, I don't like it when I see any of that, though. Like Batman on
I
a...
get it, but, I mean, remember 1989, there was, plenty of Diet Coke commercials featuring Batman.
But when I was a kid, that was awesome. I was like, that's so cool! And now I'm just like, corporate shills.
I still, when The Dark Knight came out, the big, serious, realistic, crime drama / superhero movie, came out. I still remember seeing commercials featuring The Dark Knight, selling Domino's.
Domino's Pizza?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
none of it's safe.
Oh, yeah. No, everything's a fucking product.
Yeah. But I have to say, I am probably way more excited about Black Panther than I have been for almost any other superhero movie in the last 10, 15 years. I don't know why.
It looks good.
I really want to see it.
Yeah.
Not enough to go, like, opening
Oh,
weekend.
well, sure.
Because I'm not stupid.
Yeah, I think we're going to wait a week and then take the kids next weekend. Next Sunday or something.
You think it's appropriate for kids?
Sure, who knows?
I mean, they're white.
They're white kids.
Yeah.
Yeah? I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that they're white. I've never...
I guess they are, like, 1/8 Korean or
Yeah,
something like that.
they're
So,
like partial. It's all... Yeah, like Donald Trump always says, America's a melting pot. It's all about creativity and diversity.
Yep. That is
It's what our glorious leader...
All hail Trump.
Yeah, he's amazing.
No, yeah, just no matter the Marvel movie, I try not to go on an opening weekend.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
I can't handle that many people, and I know that it'll still be super fucking busy next week. But like hopefully
Less so.
yeah. It's just you don't live on the internet, so you don't have the fear of getting spoiled. I mean, I guess you do because you work at the comic store.
Yeah, it almost happened today. There's a guy that loves to spoil movies that was in today.
Yeah.
And I was just like kind of avoiding him because I figured he went and saw Black Panther this morning.
Right.
But he I forget what it was. There's something I was...
Why don't you just say, Jeremy, stop it?
It wasn't Jeremy. It was the same guy, though. He was in... Like, right before I went to see Last Jedi, it was like the day I was going to go see it. He was in, or it was like the day before I was going to go see it. He was in, and he was like, oh man, yeah, it was really good. And I was like, well, don't tell me anything because I'm going to go see it tomorrow. And he's like, oh no, I won't. Just let me tell you this one thing. And then he just went on to tell me like something that he thought was pretty innocuous. And it wasn't part of the like major storyline.
Right.
But I was just like, I don't want to know, man.
Right.
I just told you, don't tell me anything,
Yeah.
It's like, well, let me just tell you this one thing. Like, remember like that time 3 seconds ago when it's like, I don't want to know anything?
Right. Yeah, like
they just love to talk about it.
They do.
I mean, nerds are socially awkward and they don't have a lot of people to physically talk with in person. So when
I get it.
They're excited. Yeah. And I respect that, but it makes it hard because for me, like you, I don't like to go opening weekend. So it's like this balancing act of spoilerism and social awkwardness.
And even like, okay, so the last time we recorded was Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
And
Chiefs.
Sure.
I don't even know. I can't remember who was in it.
I don't know. But so that day, like, Netflix, like, advertised and released, like, that day, like, hey, new Cloverfield movie after the Super Bowl.
Right.
And literally, like, an hour, like, after the Super Bowl ended, people were, like, posting spoilery shit on the internet about the new Cloverfield movie.
Right.
And I mean, it's just like, fucking keep it in your goddamn pants.
Yeah, you can't even wait 24 hours.
Right. And, I mean, and like, there's another new Netflix movie that came out that, like, I mean, you turn on Netflix and, like, trailers start and, like, you have no way of, like, turning them off. But,
for sure.
Like, a new movie, like, that they released called The Ritual. And, like, I watched part of the trailer and, read the description and I was like, I might want to watch that. And then literally, like, I log onto Facebook and there's just, like, people just, like, talking about the fucking Ritual.
Right, yeah. You can't get away online.
Yeah.
See, that's why people turn to us, Eric, because even as reviewers of things, half the time we don't even tell you what it's about. We don't even get to that. We're telling stories about farts and, like, whatever. And there's no spoilers here. I think we did sort of talk about the book today, so I'm proud of us.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess I should pick a comic, huh?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
As long as it has a chromium cover.
It doesn't.
Oh, veto.
Sorry.
No, I'll save my veto.
Okay. I mean,
maybe.
I think it has Albert Einstein on the cover.
Really?
Yeah.
Trying to think of what comics have. Huh? Is it by Rick Veitch?
No, it's not.
Huh. Okay.
I've never read this book. I don't know what it's about. I don't even have a description of it.
You don't even know the name, or
I know the name.
Oh, okay, well, that's something.
I know the creators.
Hey, that's something.
Basically, like, I found out that this book existed, and I was like, I'd never heard of this, and it was 5 cents on Amazon.
5 cents?
Yep.
Plus shipping.
$4 shipping.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
From England.
Wow. How's that even possible?
I do not know.
Yeah.
Not a fucking clue. But it is called Genius by Stephen T. Siegel and Teddy Christensen.
Okay.
The creative team behind the very depressing and very good Superman It's a Bird comic from Vertigo.
Yeah.
I really liked that book and thought, hey, I will read another book by those same people.
So maybe it's about Albert Einstein.
I believe he is on the cover.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey. Genius is the name of it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you remember who publishes it?
I want to say First Second.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. I like them.
Yeah.
They do good work.
They do.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
As am I.
5 cents. Fuck Amazon, man. I hate Amazon. They're ruining the world.
Yeah, but they are filling my home with useless shit.
Well, hey, at least there's that.
And someday, when I get an Alexa, like, they can also spy on me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend had one of those things where you just talk to it and it does stuff.
Right.
And, like, she had it, like, so it controlled, like, her entire apartments.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
It kind of was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, like, it was one of those things where she and I were talking, and, like, like, it would just pick up certain words that we were saying and just, like, suddenly do a thing because we had said a word.
Oh, wow. Like advertise something, or like actually an action?
But like we say, hey, like I watched this show on TV the other day, like it would turn on the TV.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wow. Like no Alexa.
Yeah. But then, like, because, like, I had never been around one of those things before, she was like, oh, you should, like, try to get it to, like, play a song or something like that. And I was like, okay, I was like, hey, Alexa, play this. And it was like, I've never heard of that.
Why don't you watch some more TV, though? They're just trying to dumb us down, man. It's the system.
Yet another way that my ex-girlfriend ruined my life.
Well, at least we don't have an Alexa.
That's true. And I hope it's never.
Yeah, I will put my foot down on that one.
All right. Until your wife says.
Well, my wife wants another dog.
Okay.
And I'm like faltering on that one. I said I don't think that's a good idea, but I haven't like it's not like it's my decision, it's our decision, but we have to both agree on it.
Yeah.
And I haven't made my final decision yet.
Yeah. Can I weigh in?
I mean, you can tell me what you think, but it's not a three-way decision.
Sure. I mean, that's upsetting, but...
I'm guessing you don't want me to have another dog?
Yeah, probably not for the best.
Well, see, her thinking is that the other dog would entertain our current dog.
First dog.
So they would stay, like she wouldn't be as bored and like needy.
We'll
see.
Yeah.
I mean, when other dogs come over, she does like pretty much play with that dog and that's it.
Right.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, it's gonna be spring soon. You can take her to the dog park again.
Exactly, yeah. That always works out well.
Yeah.
There's been a couple scary times there.
Sure. Yeah.
People bring their ferocious dogs to the dog park. I do not get it.
Yeah, well, people are assholes.
People are dumb.
Yeah. All right, genius. Next week. Gutter Trash.
Looking forward to it.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening to Gutter Trash. You can subscribe to the show from guttertrash.net or from iTunes and leave us a review. Visit guttertrash.net for email information and for other podcasts and websites in the Gutter Trash Network. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.